All right, let's talk about a name I'm sure you've heard bounced around in ancient myths, documentaries, and all over the internet. The Anunnaki. Who were they, really? Well, it turns out that's a story with two very, very different answers.
So when you hear the word Anunnaki, what pops into your head? For most people, it's one of two things. On the one hand, you've got these powerful, even terrifying gods from the dawn of civilization in Mesopotamia. But on the other hand, you have this much more modern sci-fi idea, the Anunnaki as extraterrestrial engineers who literally created us.
So, the big question is, how on earth did one become the other? How did a pantheon of ancient gods get a total cosmic makeover into ancient astronauts? To figure that out, we have to go back to the very beginning. To untangle this whole thing, we've got to start with the original sources. We're talking about going back thousands of years to the actual clay tablets to see who the Anunnaki were to the people who first wrote their stories.
Okay, first things first, let's look at the name itself. According to the academics, the Sumerologists who dedicate their lives to this stuff, the term Anunnaki comes from the Sumerian Anunnana, and the consensus translation is princely seed or princely offspring. Right away, that tells you something, doesn't it? The story is about divine royalty, about a heavenly bloodline, not about visitors from another planet.
And when you dig into the really old texts from over 4,000 years ago, their role gets crystal clear. The Anunnaki were the top dogs, the most powerful gods, born from the sky god Un and the earth goddess Ki. Their whole job was to decree the fates of mankind. In famous myths like Inanna's descent, they show up as the 7 fearsome judges of the underworld. So yeah, these were not figures to be taken lightly.
Now this is where the original story gets really wild. There's this one key myth that not only explains the Anunnaki's relationship with other gods, but it also gives us the Mesopotamian reason for why humans were created in the first place. And it all kicks off with, believe it or not, a divine labor dispute.
So, in this epic Babylonian story called the Atrahasis, there was a clear cosmic pecking order. You had the Anunnaki right at the top. They were the executives, the big bosses. And then you had the Igigi, a group of junior gods who are basically forced to do all the cosmic grunt work to keep the universe running.
So for centuries, the Anunnaki had the Igigi doing all this back-breaking work, like digging the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. And finally, the Igigi just had enough. They went on strike. They burned their tools, they surrounded the temple of the head honcho god Enlil. It was a full-blown crisis in heaven. So the wise god Enki comes up with this clever plan. Hey, why don't we just create a substitute worker? And that is us. In the original myth, humanity was created from clay and divine blood specifically to do the work the junior gods refused to do. We were made to serve the Anunnaki.
So, that's the ancient story. It's a complex drama about divine politics and cosmic chores. But notice something? There are no spaceships, no gold mines, no aliens. So where did all of that stuff come from? For that, we need to take a massive leap forward in time, almost 4,000 years.
And just look at this timeline. It really puts the massive gap into perspective. You have the first mentions of the Anunnaki popping up in ancient Sumeria, then thousands of years of relative silence on this front. Until 1976, when one author published one book that changed everything. And that author was Zecharia Sitchin. Now, Sitchin wasn't a trained historian or archaeologist. His background was actually in economics. But he taught himself to read Sumerian cuneiform, and in his book, The 12th Planet, he laid out this totally radical new interpretation. And it just exploded. It tapped right into the 1970s fascination with UFOs and ancient mysteries, offering this grand, sweeping new theory of where we came from.
This slide just puts it all side by side. It's a total rewrite. Where scholars see princely seed, Sitchin claimed the name meant those who from heaven to earth came. Where the ancient texts say we were made to solve a divine labor shortage, Sitchin said we were genetically engineered as slaves to mine gold. And the planet Nibiru, which is absolutely central to Sitchin's entire story, well, according to mainstream scholars, it's just not found in the ancient texts in the way he describes it. But Sitchin's work was really just the launch pad. His ideas became the foundation for a much, much bigger and constantly evolving modern mythology, one that's filled with concepts that would have sounded like pure science fiction to an ancient Sumerian. So Sitchin created this ancient astronaut framework, and then New Age, UFO, and other spiritual communities took that ball and just ran with it. They started building on his core ideas, adding all these incredible new layers: interdimensional travel, cosmic genetics, star seeds, the whole shebang.
For instance, a lot of the modern talk about the Anunnaki doesn't even describe them as physical aliens in spaceships anymore. Now you'll hear them called interdimensional beings who can shift between different planes of reality. It's a really fascinating spiritual concept, but we have to be clear, this is a modern rereading. You won't find this on any ancient clay tablet.
You've probably also heard people talk about Anunnaki DNA. This is a modern belief that some of us have a dormant genetic link to these alien creators and that it can be activated to unlock psychic or spiritual gifts. Again, it's a powerful modern metaphor, but it's not a claim rooted in ancient texts or, for that matter, modern biology.
So what we have are these two completely parallel stories, separated by millennia. To really understand what's going on, we have to carefully peel back the layers and separate what's what. What's ancient text, what's a modern retelling, and what has really become an article of contemporary faith.
This table really makes it clear. The claim that the Anunnaki judged the dead, that's right there in the ancient texts. Strong support. The claim that they are aliens from a planet called Nibiru, that comes directly from Zecharia Sitchin in 1976, and it's not supported by the academic consensus. The idea of Anunnaki DNA, or that they're interdimensional beings, those are even more recent, speculative layers added by modern spiritual movements.
So the conclusion is actually pretty simple. We are talking about two completely separate subjects that just happen to share the same name. The Anunnaki of Mesopotamia were gods in an ancient religious system. The Anunnaki of modern mythology are alien creators in a new sci-fi spiritual framework. One didn't just evolve into the other. A whole new story was written using an old, powerful name. And that leaves us with one final, really profound question. Why do we do this? Why do we feel this need to look back at our most ancient gods and rewrite them into these new epic myths about our own cosmic origins, our hidden potential, and our secret place among the stars? Maybe it just proves that our search for meaning is every bit as powerful and creative today as it was 4,000 years ago.